You ever buy a premium bottle, pour a glass, take a sip, and immediately realize you just paid top shelf prices for bottom shelf excitement? America spends billions each year on alcohol that's carried more by hype, vibes, and Instagram clips than flavor. Today we're ranking the 10 most overrated alcohol brands in the US from worst to the least overrated, exposing the bottles that talk a big game but don't always deliver. Grab your glass. Some feelings will be hurt. 10. STGERMAIN. Starting at number 10 is the liqueur that turned every cocktail into the same floral daydream. Saint-Germain didn't just slide into the modern bar scene, it detonated, instantly becoming the "make it fancy" button for menus across the country. The branding sells a Parisian romance, a kind of nostalgic elegance wrapped in that ornate bottle that looks like it should be displayed under warm lighting. Taste-wise, it's friendly and fragrant. A little elderflower here, a sweet push there, and suddenly even the simplest drink seems dressed for a spring wedding. But that's the problem. Its popularity made bartenders lean on it far too heavily, smoothing out rough edges in a drink rather than elevating well-built flavors. It turned into a cheat code. Effective, yes, but predictable. Saint-Germain isn't bad. It's enjoyable in moderation and shines in the right hands, but its reputation as the secret ingredient that makes everything refined is overstated. Too many cocktails taste identical once that floral sweetness takes over. This ranking isn't punishment, it's honesty. Saint-Germain earned a cultural moment, no question, but when a bottle becomes synonymous with instant sophistication, the magic starts wearing thin, and we haven't even touched the controversial ones yet. 9. Bulleit Bourbon. Number 9 goes to the bourbon dressed like a dusty parched cowboy, yet spends most of its life on polished bar counters in big cities. Bulleit built an empire on the rugged frontier image, that orange label, the flask-style bottle, the story that feels like it should be narrated around a campfire. But peel back the aesthetics, and you're looking at a mainstream Diageo brand with mass production muscle behind it. The whiskey itself is solid. High-rise spice, a hint of citrus, a decent vanilla note. Everything works, nothing offends. But nothing truly surprises either. In a market flooded with bourbons fighting for attention, Bulleit rides on presentation more than depth. It's the safe bourbon. The one you order when you want something that sounds premium but doesn't demand curiosity. Its widespread popularity also amplifies expectations. People walk in thinking they're getting a rugged, niche, throwback whiskey crafted with old-world charm. What they actually get is a well-marketed, mid-range bottle wearing a handcrafted costume. Bulleit deserves respect as a gateway bourbon, and the flavor is perfectly serviceable. But for the hype it commands, the imagery, the mythology, the reputation for being a cut above, the reality doesn't always match the narrative. And trust me, the list gets spicier from here. 8. Jameson. Sliding into number 8 is the bottle that practically owns American St. Patrick's Day. Jameson is everywhere. Bars, concerts, brunch tables, wedding after parties. It's the whiskey people choose when they want something smooth, simple, and universally accepted. But that universal appeal is exactly why it lands here. Jameson tastes easy, light grain, gentle sweetness, a whisper of spice. It's an approachable starter whiskey and a dependable mixer. But the pedestal Americans place it on makes it feel like the final destination rather than the first step. So many drinkers stop exploring Irish whiskey entirely because Jameson is treated as the standard rather than the entry point. There's also the cultural repetition. For years, Jameson became the default call for, "I want whiskey, but nothing intense." That's not a crime, but it created a bubble, one where people mistake familiarity for superiority. In reality, there are countless mid-priced Irish bottles with richer character, better mouthfeel, or more intriguing notes. Jameson isn't overhyped because it's bad. It's overhyped because it monopolizes the category. It's the popular kid who gets credit simply for showing up. And if this already stings, you might not enjoy the next few entries. Before we keep climbing this list, hit like and subscribe if you enjoy brutally honest rankings. It helps the channel grow and lets us keep buying overpriced bottles so you don't waste your money. 7. Tito's. At number 7 is the vodka that convinced America it was the humble, homegrown underdog. Even as it quietly became one of the biggest spirits in the country, Tito's exploded because the branding felt personal. Handmade on the label, Austin Roots, a story that sounded like a passionate guy tinkering with small batches in a garage. Except the scale today is massive. Industrial massive. The charm of the origin story hasn't matched the reality for a long time. Flavor-wise, Tito's is fine. Neutral, light, easy to mix, and consistent. But that's also why it's overrated. It's not dramatically better than similarly priced vodkas, yet it benefits from a perception of being uniquely pure or artisanal. Add in clever marketing around being gluten-free, which is true of virtually every distilled vodka anyway, and Tito's reputation starts to look more polished than its actual taste. People love it because it feels authentic. It feels like the honest option. And while there's nothing wrong with enjoying it, the pedestal it's on doesn't always match what's in the glass. When a brand becomes a default order, a personality trait, and a moral statement all at once, it's usually time to reset expectations. And that's exactly why Tito's lands here. 6. Grey Goose. At number 6, we have the vodka that proved presentation can overpower palate. Grey Goose isn't simply a spirit, it's a symbol. For 2 decades, the frosted bottle, the French heritage, and the name itself helped build the idea that this was the pinnacle of vodka refinement. You didn't just order Grey Goose, you declared sophistication, you signaled taste, you hinted that your night was operating at a higher tier. But here's the truth, Grey Goose is good, but it's not the revelation people imagine. The flavor profile is clean, slightly sweet, and perfectly smooth, yet not dramatically different from bottles half its price. Blind tastings over the years have repeatedly shown that many drinkers can't distinguish it from far cheaper vodkas, and occasionally even prefer the alternatives. That doesn't make Grey Goose inferior. It makes the hype louder than the liquid. The real magic lies in its branding. French origin, premium imagery, a marketing campaign that made imported feel luxurious rather than unnecessary. Grey Goose became the go-to choice for those wanting to feel elevated without venturing into the world of craft distillation or nuanced grain profiles. Its place here isn't punishment, it's perspective. Grey Goose built its empire on aspiration, and it succeeded. But once the bottle glamour fades, the spirit inside feels more like a solid mid-shelf contender dressed for a red carpet it didn't entirely earn. And from this point on, the hype only gets heavier. 5. Patron. The original landing at number 5 is the tequila that single-handedly taught America how to say premium. Long before tequila became the booming category it is today, Patron was the aspirational bottle. The squat shape, the cork pop, the sleek packaging. It was the tequila you ordered to impress your date, your coworkers, or the stranger sitting 2 stools away. For years, Patron was what special occasion tasted like. But tequila evolved, and Patron didn't evolve as dramatically with it. The flavor remains approachable. Citrus hints, a little sweetness, soft agave character. It's smooth, absolutely. It's pleasant, definitely. But in a world overflowing with expressive blanco tequilas, complex reposados, and rich añejos crafted with wild agave, stone ovens, or heritage methods, Patron stands out far less than it used to. Today, many mid-priced tequilas offer more soulful depth or richer nuance at noticeably lower cost. The brand's enormous recognition also works against it. When a product becomes shorthand for expensive, people begin believing it's automatically the best, even when their own taste buds might tell a different story. Patron's aura is built on legacy, and while it deserves credit for expanding American tequila culture, it now coasts partly on nostalgia and partly on reputation. Patron is still reliable, still smooth, and still beloved. But when a bottle becomes the default luxury pick, it's easy to forget how many others outshine it in character and craftsmanship. And this ranking is about that gap, the difference between perception and what truly pours out of the glass. 4. Fireball. Crashing into number 4 is the explosive cinnamon whirlwind that has dominated bars, stadiums, college towns, ski resorts, and questionable nights across America. Fireball isn't just popular, it's culturally unavoidable. One fiery shot, and suddenly everyone thinks they're in a country music video. It's fun, reckless, sugary, and obnoxiously memorable. But here's where the overrated label starts burning a little. Fireball's flavor profile isn't exactly complex. It's bold cinnamon candy, liquid heat, a syrupy sweetness, and very little else. There's no real exploration of whiskey here, no layers of oak or grain, no subtle warmth earned from the barrel. It's more of a liqueur in disguise, designed to be thrown back quickly rather than appreciated. And that's the point. Fireball is engineered for speed, not savoring. But its cultural footprint is enormous. It shows up when people want excitement without thinking too hard. It's the drink you take before you regret something. Yet it's seen, oddly, as a staple, a must-have, a classic. That's where the overrated label tightens. It has become the default choice for people who want heat without considering how many genuinely good whiskeys exist for the same price. Fireball is fun, no argument there. It's a social accelerant. It loosens crowds and fuels stories. But the hype surrounding it, the way it's treated like an essential part of American bar culture, makes it feel bigger than its actual craft. Fireball isn't on this list because it's terrible. It's here because people act like it's irreplaceable. 3. Casamigos. Number 3 goes to the tequila that built its empire on charm, friendships, and the most profitable celebrity sale the industry has ever witnessed. Casamigos burst into the spotlight with an easygoing image, smooth, sweet, friendly, and approachable even to people who usually avoid tequila entirely. It didn't just sell alcohol, it sold a feeling, a lifestyle, a sun-drenched evening with good company and no worries. The flavor is undeniably pleasant. Casamigos is engineered to go down effortlessly. Soft vanilla, rounded sweetness, minimal bite, almost dessert-like for a tequila. And that's exactly why it exploded. It caters to the American palate, especially those who want tequila without the vegetal bite or peppery edge traditional drinkers love. But popularity can be a double-edged sword. For many bartenders and agave enthusiasts, Casamigos feels overly polished, overly sweetened, and somewhat disconnected from the spirit's heritage. The production choices that create its smoothness also dampen the agave's natural character. It's tequila that tastes like an introduction rather than an evolution, yet it's treated like royalty. The brand's rise is impressive, but the hype often pushes beyond the actual complexity of what's poured into the glass. Casamigos isn't bad, far from it. It's enjoyable, effortless, and a brilliant entry point for millions. But its image as a top-tier masterpiece doesn't quite match the subtler reality. And if Casamigos is sitting at number 3, imagine what waits at the top. 2. Johnnie Walker Blue Label in second place sits the bottle that practically glows with prestige before it's even open. Johnnie Walker Blue Label isn't just a scotch, it's a ceremony. A velvet box, a gold-trimmed label, a whisper of exclusivity. People don't casually buy Blue Label, they present it. It's the kind of bottle executives gift each other to signal respect, or that one uncle keeps on the top shelf until someone gets married. The brand has spent decades perfecting the aura of "this is what successful people drink." But the moment you pour it, the conversation shifts. Blue Label is smooth, refined, gentle, almost too gentle. A soft, honeyed start, a flicker of smoke, a rounded finish that fades quickly rather than making a statement. It's undeniably pleasant, yet surprisingly reserved for something that carries such mythic status. For the price and the reputation, many expect a symphony. What they get is more of a quiet, polished melody. None of this means Blue Label is low quality. It's crafted with intention, blended with care, and designed for softness rather than adventure. The issue is the disconnect. People treat it as the undisputed pinnacle of Scotch, when in reality it's a luxury accessory built on refinement, not complexity. There are countless single malts bursting with personality at half the cost, yet Blue Label remains the default elite choice because of what the name represents. That's why it lands at number 2. Still impressive, still enjoyable, but inflated by decades of prestige. And the bottle sitting at number 1? Its hype eclipses even this. 1. Don Julio 1942. Taking the top spot, and not by a small margin, is the tequila that turned into a cultural phenomenon long before people actually cared about what it tasted like. Don Julio 1942 isn't just a drink, it's a performance. That tall, sculpted bottle becomes a prop the moment it enters the room. Servers lift it like a trophy, clubs parade it with sparklers, and influencers position it front and center as if it's part of their outfit. It's glamorous, photogenic, instantly recognizable, and extremely expensive. Now the tequila itself is smooth, warm, sweet, and approachable. Notes of caramel, vanilla, and light spice glide over the tongue with almost no harshness. For newcomers, it feels luxurious. But the further you move into the world of agave spirits, the more you realize how much of 1942's fame comes from its social value rather than its intrinsic character. Its sweetness is deliberate, engineered to win over a broad crowd. But in toning down the agave's natural earthiness and complexity, it leans closer to dessert territory than heritage craftsmanship. Meanwhile, there are countless añejos and extra añejos, many at far more reasonable prices, delivering richer profiles, deeper barrel influence, and more honest expressions of tequila's roots. Yet 1942 continues to dominate because it isn't purchased for nuance. It's purchased for attention. It's the bottle people carry to the VIP section, not because they adore every sip, but because everyone else knows exactly what it signals. And that's the definition of overrated. When the story, the symbolism, and the spectacle tower over the flavor itself. Don Julio 1942 is good, but the myth built around it is what truly takes up space. So there you have it, 10 bottles that built reputations louder than their flavors. Some are still solid choices, others just rode clever branding into legend. But all prove one thing: hype doesn't always match what's in the glass. Drink what you enjoy, explore beyond the usual suspects, and don't let a price tag or fancy bottle decide your taste. Tell me which bottle you think we ranked too high, too low, or completely missed. Cheers to honest drinking.